Just a couple of examples from our customers. It's real world projects, and here by exposing example about Strabag companies from Austria, I want to emphasize their trust in what exposed by Azure OpenAI model responses. They use this for risk management that actually tries to say, will this construction fail? Not construction itself, I hope, that, but construction project. And of course, there are tons of things that can affect, starting from weather conditions, right? So they somehow feed all these parameters to the model. Yeah, I believe it's not like a complete out of the box one, right? But after all, they listen to, or like they evaluate what this model says, and I believe it's one of the important factors of final decision, either to go for this project or not. And a completely different area, and this is closer to us technical people, to us developers. Trellant company is using AI services to provide intelligent source code documentation. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not big fan of documenting my own code. Yeah, but I'm super happy that we can get support from OpenAI APIs now. And back to example of Copilot. And by this slide, I want to illustrate that we in Microsoft are maybe one of the largest, or yeah, I believe we are largest users of our own Azure OpenAI infrastructure, because uh, GitHub Copilot is just one of the examples, and maybe you've seen that we very soon expose for everyone whole family of copilots, not only for technical audience, but for all users of our Microsoft 365 Power Platform and many more. So it was announced some time ago, but I believe that this will go to production very soon. Okay, I hope that I provided some clarity. I hope that I inspired you with some examples and explained opportunities and possibilities. Now you might have a question: how do I or my company start with Azure OpenAI? And there are some steps for you to follow. First of all, it's a secret step, and hold on, folks. The recipe for this step is on the last slide. Then you request access to Azure OpenAI services just by filling in simple form on Azure Microsoft.com. You will find it easily. And by the way, you cannot start using Azure OpenAI APIs immediately. I mean, even after you pay for this. And this is one of our commitments to responsible AI framework. So first of all, we want to make sure that you are a bit thoughtful about why, when, not when, but why do you want to use these APIs for, and we want to learn a bit more about your company, and based on this, we onboard you, and these services will be available for you. But it all starts with filling in some simple form and waiting for a short period of time before it's available for you. Then you have Azure OpenAI service available for you in Azure Portal. You can create it with Azure Portal or a bunch of other options how you can create Azure workloads. And you send your first request to Completions API. I believe Completions API is the main point of communication between you and Azure OpenAI services. Second option is Chat Completions API if you want to build a chatbot. And it's all about experimenting. Many experiments, much experimenting. I guarantee, I give you 100% that your first prompt will be not production ready. And it's again about prompt engineering. I have separate slide on that. Hold on. Also, sooner or later, most likely sooner, you will have a question: how do I use my company's data for all these APIs? I mean, ChatGPT as a service, if you go to chat.openai.com, is amazing, right? It can answer many questions, but it knows nothing about your company. So this is challenge number one. And challenge number two, even everything that it knows, it's frozen in at at some time, right? This model is not learning real time using all the latest news. So what it says, it's around end of 2021, the latest information it has. Of course, there are some plugins and functions and everything to somehow reach out to internet in the real time, but it's not out of the box, right? So how to feed your own, how to provide to these services your own PDF, texts, images, everything. Some options are available. Of course, unfortunately, we don't have too much time to go through them in detail, but I will name them. And yeah, you build your product, you share with the world, and either start having fun or start earning money, depending on intention why you started all this story. Yeah, just super briefly through. Let's go through a couple of these steps. First of all, how do you communicate with APIs? Completions API, there's also embedding API and few more. But again, I believe completions and chat completions API are the main APIs you will use for your project. Well, as I already mentioned, you use our human language to send as a request to these APIs, and basically it's called prompt. And prompt has can have multiple components. First of all, let me, yeah, on this slide, prompt components. It can contain, or maybe a good idea that it always contains some instruction, right? Like in this example, extract mailing address from this email. Then it can contain data itself, and it's a bit mind-blowing. But I mean, compared to many other APIs, we have instructions, data, context, output format in one big like text field, right? It's all mixed together, and it's again expressed in our language. It's not any kind of formalized programming language. So instruction, data. Also, you can provide some context, like be friendly, or be I don't know. Um, I don't think that you want to have some unfriendly, but be more precise, be concise, or be detailed in your instructions, so some context. Furthermore, you can also ask for some format. So by default, it gives you just a plain text as answer, but in the same instruction, you can ask create a JSON object for me, put this part of information into this field, this in this field. So yeah, and after all, you will get nicely formatted JSON. So for example, if this component of your solution is just one of multiple steps in the chain, of course, this is a really good idea to create this formalized response. And you will get completion, like on this example, it extracted address from the data. And how do actually you pay for all these things? You pay for tokens, and token is a bit interesting concept. It's again, it's not new concept and not something specific for Azure OpenAI or OpenAI. No, it's from large language models scope, and this is how majority of language models understand text that they receive. So basically, these are parts of the words, or words themselves, if they are short. And yeah, there are multiple tokenization services are available. So if you need, you can get a really nice understanding how many tokens you send, and how, and basically as one of parameters of these APIs, you specify maximum number of tokens you want to receive from the model. And yeah, in a majority of APIs like this, you pay both for tokens you send and for tokens you receive. And yeah, this is emphasizing need of being good prompt engineers, because the shorter your prompt, the more money you save. Of course, if this shorter prompt still gives you some satisfactory results. And then another question you will have very soon, or pretty much straight from the beginning, which model to choose, either classic GPT X1 with one-off request response, or you can build, you might want to build the chatbot. Maybe it's a bit like more niche scenario, right? I mean, not every service needs chatbots, but I see actually rise of this industry. Then you might want to use chat completions API. Actually, technically, you can use the same completions API while by using what's called ChatML, chat markup language, and you see exactly this example on the screen. So some extra formatting separators in the same like one text prompt, but maybe like definitely more developer friendly is use chat completions, where you provide same components of your conversation but in the form of array. I mean, you don't need to go for this creating of this formatting image separators yourself. And by setting up some context in chat completions API scope, it's called system message, or we also often call this meta prompt. You specify context, and in this example, you want to build marketing assistant. You explain model that okay, you are marketing assistant, you are creative. I mean, this is where you might want to use full creativity of this model. At the same time, you explicitly ask do not create content that could be harmful. Maybe it's even unneeded, because thanks to responsible AI framework, you most likely you will not get any harmful responses, even if you requested for this. And enterprise knowledge bot is one of the example I want to focus on. Yeah, we don't have too much time left to go in details, but I believe this is where Azure OpenAI services really shine. When you feed to this model via prompt engineering or fine-tuning model, for example, your company internal documents, internal resources, and then you can request information from these resources using human language. And we have reference architecture or sample architecture for that kind of scenario. The link is available here, but I want to share this project with you folks, and also the link is available in the chat. Enterprise Prompt Engineering Rocks. Basically, absolutely same idea like my colleagues from Microsoft created and what I demonstrated in the previous slide, but I made it a bit simpler. I mean, it's not that fully featured like the one from Microsoft, but yeah, I hope that I simplified onboarding a bit, so you can just go to this project. First of all, you can play with this, and you can switch developer mode, and you will see tokenization, and tokens will show up while you type. And in the footer of this project, the link to GitHub that also explains how to not only for this project, but also how to set up your own infrastructure to play with your own documents, or I don't know, it could be company documents, it could be your favorite book, and then you can using this chart to, I don't know, ask about characters of this book, their behaviors, everything. So go and explore. Next slide is instructions, what to do if your prompt still fails for some reason, and multiple options are available how to be better prompt engineers. Just one example: if you add very simple phrase, very simple sentence to your prompt that is failing, and it's mainly relevant to some calculations, but not only actually. If you ask model, you see in this dashed frame, let's think step by step and explain calculation in this example, you'll have surprisingly better result, or correct versus incorrect result. This and other ways to improve your prompts will be presented at Prompt Engineering Conference I run in October. This is community-driven initiative, completely free online. I hope that all 47 people on the call will go and grab your tickets. It just will take 30 seconds for you, and let's meet there. Your data is your data. This is simple answer on question how my data is processed. I'm sorry, I'm rushing a bit because I have to jump off very soon. This is like a slide before the last one. It's extremely busy, but it's here. It's important that because it contains all main links for you to start the journey from the very beginning to go into production. And you remember that I sent a link to a slide deck. Basically, it's not exactly this slide deck, but a bit more extended, so you'll have even more slides. And this slide is there where all the links are available for you. Finally, you can tell me, Maxim, you promised some secret slide how we can onboard faster. Yes, and the answer is very simple. This is secret ingredient. Find me on LinkedIn, link on the chat window again. And if you want to get onboarded to Azure OpenAI service, you easily can use me as a reference because there will be field optional, but I hope that it helps to get things simpler. So send me a message on LinkedIn. Maxim, can I use you as a reference? So I just make sure that no people out of the blue. I answer yes, and you are good to go. That's it from my side, folks. I see one question on the chat, so let me use last seconds to read and answer this. And advisory is asking, is the OpenAI can be extended? In what language extending possible? Where can you find SDK? Answer is, go to my previous slide. You'll find quite extensive, quite well written and simple to consume documentation. Yes, OpenAI, or specifically Azure OpenAI, can be extended. Again, it's like very general word, but model can be fine-tuned. You can add some magic using prompt engineering. And I hope that functions that are available in OpenAI will also land in Azure OpenAI soon. And yeah, of course, all tools either available or in public previews or will be available very soon. And yes, SDK is there. I'm a big fan of JavaScript, so I extensively use JavaScript SDK to communicate with the models. Yeah, that's answer. Maybe I can take one more question by voice. Anyone? Just raise your hand or just. Okay, one more question in the chat. Azure monitoring can be leveraged using OpenAI. Very good question. Monitoring. I don't have answer. This is something for me to investigate. Basically, what I personally do, I use Azure monitoring in all surroundings, like orchestrators. So, for example, I have a Node.js based API that is calling Azure API endpoints, and this is where I monitor what's going on. Like, is call successful? What is response? What is request? Yeah, and I believe you'll find your consumption and many more useful resources in what we call Azure AI Studio. This will be available immediately for you right after you got access. And this is where you actually deploy your models. This is where you check your consumption status. This is where you have sandbox to play with these APIs even without building your application yet. And many more tools are available in Azure AI Studio. And what I see, we expand the family of these tools quite often. So, and prompt flow is one of the tools available there. Is it required to learn math for AI? Very good question. And first of all, there are two things. Machine learning, that is engine for AI. This is where you need not only math, but data science. If you want to build your own models from scratch, if you want to, let's say, create your very own open AI models or family of models, yes, you have to be quite advanced data scientist. On the other hand, AI, at least in Microsoft's understanding, this is something where you can use what these smartest people on the earth, data scientists, created for you, where you can use this via simple gateways like APIs. And in that sense, to use AI and AI services from Microsoft, including Azure OpenAI, you don't need data science background, data engineering background, math background. No, if you understand how to send request to API and parse response, you are good to go. Of course, if you better understand how that works under the hood, maybe your prompts will be more efficient from less tries. Maybe your data flows will be more perfect. Because but still it's optional, right? AI is for everyone. It's a very democratized ways to use extreme power of artificial intelligence. On that,
Thanks.
thank you very much. Have a great weekend and let's stay connected.